Friends, I could have your attention for a moment. On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank those of us who are here today, as well as those of us who are joining online. If I could ask as a gentle reminder one more time for those of you who have a cell phone, please take a moment to turn it on silent or even off. We're about to begin the service for Mr. Hubert I. Sommerfeld. Our service today begins with the gentleman from the military, the U.S. Army Funeral Honors, to present the family with the flag.
On behalf of the United States Army, and grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of appreciation for the love and honor and faithful service.
Friends, we begin our funeral service, traditional words. For those who received a pamphlet, we're going to open up to the inside portion to Psalm 23. I will first read it in the Hebrew, and then together we'll read it in the English. Mizmor LaDavid, Adonai Roi Lo Echsar, Binos Deshe Yarbitzini, Almei Menuchot Yinahaleni. Navshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'ma'agle Tzedek Laman Shemo, Gam Kelech Begeit Salmoves Lo Yira Ki At Hoyimodi. Shiftecha Mishantecha Him Yinachamuni, Taroch Lefonai Shulchan Neged Sorai, Tishanta B'Shem and Roshi Kosi Revayai, Ach Tov V'Chesed Rifuni Kol Yimei Chayai, B'Shafti B'Veis Adonai L'Orach Yomim. Together in the English, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Our service today will have a number of speakers. I'm going to read the list. Marcia Swingle, eldest daughter. Jim Martin, son-in-law. Audrey Martin, second daughter. Aaron Porzel, the eldest grandson. And Renee Porzel, the youngest daughter. I'd like to call up now Marcia.
Oh my goodness. I want to begin by saying thank you to everyone joining us here today. Thank you for being a part of my dad's life, for caring about him and loving him too. Today we will celebrate my dad and honor him. I know my whole family, especially my mom and sisters, feel so blessed to see you all gathered here today. How fortunate we are to be joined by family and friends through a live stream of this gathering. Thank you to everyone listening and watching. We can feel your love too. All week I've been trying to figure out how to put my dad's life into words. It was hard not to just go on and on and on. Because how can you truly encapsulate 91 years into a short amount of time? That's a daunting task. My first thought was that I wanted to say something here today. Then I felt afraid to get up and say something. Then I was sure I couldn't get up and say something. Then I was, without a whole lot of tears. But as our family began to gather, my mom, my sisters, and our husbands, our children and grandchildren, I could feel the love filling my parents' home. I knew I needed to speak, no matter how difficult it might be. I will do my best to tell you some wonderful things, but I can't promise I will keep the tears at bay. Please bear with me. Family. This is really what my dad was all about. Family above everything else. For our entire lives, there was always one constant and powerful truth. Our parents loved and adored one another, and they loved the family they created together. My father cherished my mother. For my sisters and me, this was a beautiful way to experience the world, to see your parents love one another every day and feel secure in the knowledge that no matter what happened in your world, they were there for you and they loved you is incredibly powerful. Wow, we were so lucky, and we still are. I trusted my dad to show me the world, to protect me from harm, to teach me what was important, to appreciate my individuality, to come when I needed him, to help me grow strong, and to love me always. He did all these things for me and my sisters, and we feel so blessed. Now, of course, I could stop right here because truly, what else is there to say? But since this is a celebration of my dad's life, then it's important to talk a bit about the things I remember growing up with my dad. He was a proud, proud father of 3 daughters. I can still see him walking behind the 3 of us and my mom as we entered a restaurant or a party or any gathering. We had to go first. Not only was that the polite and gentlemanly way for us to enter, but it gave him the chance to walk behind us with a twinkle in his eye. You could just hear him thinking, "That's my family, and I am so proud they are mine. Aren't they just beautiful?" We felt those words because not only would he walk behind us thinking this, but he would proclaim it. Those of you who knew my father well know that he made friends with all the owners of his favorite restaurants. When we entered, he would say hello to the owner. He would have the owner visit our table. He would chat with the owner and proclaim to the owner and anyone else within hearing distance that we were his girls and we were there to celebrate something. Talk about feeling special, off the charts special. And later when we would arrive with his 6 grandchildren, the procession got longer and he grew even taller and much prouder. When the great-grandchildren started coming along, you could say he was beyond proud. My dad always wanted us to be together when we were growing up. We were fortunate to be able to take family vacations together. I can still remember this profound feeling of togetherness when we were on a camping trip to the Nicolet National Forest in Wisconsin. We had never gone camping together before, but my parents decided to rent a camper just the right size to fit the 5 of us. We drove up to this beautiful forest and pulled into this exquisite campsite on a lake. We then had 7 days of absolutely perfect weather. We loved exploring the forest around us, swimming in the lake, cooking on the campfire, and if you look at these posters, there's a picture of that. Did we include that one, Renee? The picture of the campfire? Yeah. And just being together. My dad especially loved starting the campfire in the early morning so he could cook our breakfast. Oops, sorry. Most of all, I can see my dad standing in the trailer one night as we all got into bed, looking at each of our faces as we settled in, and then hearing him give a great big sigh. He declared that he wouldn't trade this moment for anything. He stood in the center of the trailer and told us he was so happy to have the 5 of us all together, safe and warm in this cozy, peaceful little space. He said this would always be one of his favorite memories and wished it could last forever. I can still feel the love swirling around us as we smiled at each other, secure in the knowledge that he was right. We were a very special family. This feeling has been there my whole life. Is there any better gift a father and mother can bestow upon their family? I don't think so. You were a wonderful family man, Dad, and I'm so blessed to be your daughter. Okay, hold on, break. Our family was always involved in music in some form or another. Growing up, I played many different instruments, none of which I excel at today. Audrey danced and played the oboe very well, I might add. Renee sang, and still does, played the piano and flute and danced, and still does, in an exceptional way. Our dad always supported us and came to every performance, any one of us participated in. I remember the day I got my guitar. I had been asking for one for a while because my cousin Jan had one, and I wanted to play along with her, and I wanted one just like hers. Instead of discouraging me, he took me to the music store to choose the one I wanted. I couldn't believe it. I asked for a guitar, and my dad bought me one. It was wonderful, and I loved playing the guitar for a very long time. It's still in my home, and I recently had it restrung so that I could play it a bit for old time's sake. To this day, I look at it fondly and remember the feeling of my dad believing this was something I would use and something I deserved to own. Thank you, Dad, for helping fulfill my dreams and supporting me to be whoever I wanted to be. I always knew I could count on you. I always knew you would be there for me if I needed you. My dad was a very generous person. I can remember watching him give his time and energy to help so many people. He was very active in our community. He was always willing to lend a helping hand. He truly was a good person who lived a long and fulfilling life. I feel certain everyone here today benefited from his generosity at one time or another throughout his life. My dad instilled an amazing work ethic into our lives. He owned his own business, as most of you know, worked many, many hours, and put his heart and soul into making it a success. Kott's Shoe Store was his baby. He grew the suburban leg of the business into 3 stores. It was really exciting to be the daughter of the owner of one of the best-known shoe stores in the area. We were all required to work at the store at one time or another, and Dad had definite ideas of how we wanted the business run. Every day, we vacuumed the floors, dusted the shelves, arranged the display shelves, and he taught us how to be salespeople and how to interact with the public. We were always expected to be busy. We were always expected to find something to do. And I know my sisters and I carried this work idea with us no matter where we were working going forward. Salesmanship is an art, and my dad excelled at it. I can still see him talking to his customers and suggesting an extra item. His big hands held the beautiful new shoes reverently, and he would say to his women customers in particular, "Can't you just see yourself in these beautiful shoes, along with a matching handbag?" He would size and fit the kids' shoes and then seriously say to the kids, "Do you want to wear these or leave them on?" Or he'd say, "These sneakers are sure to make you run faster, jump higher, and fall down more often." Or, the kids and parents alike loved it and loved the attention he gave them. He could also make the kids' toes squeak in their shoes. Please ask me later how this works, because I don't want to reveal the secret to his great-grandchildren just yet. Can you imagine anyone saying these kinds of things to you today in a store, or even caring if you decided to buy a pair of shoes? I certainly can't, yet my dad's ideas of service still resonate with my sisters and me today. He taught us how to talk to people and how to make others around us feel special. That's a skill I will forever cherish. Dad, I want to thank you for always being there for Tom and me. Thank you for supporting our marriage and the decisions we made. Thank you for loving both of us. Thank you for loving our children and our grandchildren. But most of all, thank you for loving our mom. There is a quote, and I hope you'll understand, I forgot to write down the author's name, that says, "The greatest thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. There are no words truer for me and our family." Dad, you never wavered in your love for all of us, and you were never embarrassed to tell us this feeling or express it in your hugs and kisses. This is your legacy, and I hope I can instill this feeling in your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I hope your love will be carried far into the future. I will miss seeing you and being with you, but I know you will always be with me. I love you, Daddy. Next.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming today. My name is Jim Martin, and I'm married to Audrey. And I've been around Hugh for 40 years now. And over that time, I've had a long series of experiences. And to me, life is almost like the scenes in a movie where we go from one experience to another to another. And on the flight here the other day, I was thinking about Hugh and the experiences we've had together over the last 40 years. I'm not going to tell you about the time when I first met Audrey and visited her family in Wheeling, and I ended up campaigning for Hugh. I'm not going to tell you about how I ended up canvassing with Audrey around the neighborhoods and passing out flyers. And I'm not going to tell you about the man who asked me what his political beliefs were or his platform, and all I could say was, you should vote for him because he's really a good guy. And I'm not going to tell you about the time we went to campaign in, I can't remember, Glen Ellen maybe, somewhere east of here. I never made it there because we were in a really nice old convertible. And about half the way there, the convertible broke down. So Tom and I, wherever Tom is here, Tom and I got to spend the afternoon watching the car, sitting in the back of the car, listening to old music. And finally we got rescued. But I do want to tell you about a few other experiences we had, which to me really wrap up who I think Hugh was. One of them, there's a picture of it, not of the one I want to tell you about, but there's a picture on the table. Hugh loved fishing in Canada and finally had the opportunity to go on a fishing trip with him to Canada. Bob was with us as well, so it was the three of us. We went to Canada fishing. And he loved fishing. He got so excited as the fish came in, as we gathered the fish for lunch. We went to shore, and the guide cooked us our fish lunch. And then afterwards, we could do some more fishing or go back to the lodge. And he just loved it there. He smiled. He relaxed. And then one day in particular is memorable to me because we caught our fish for lunch. We had lunch, and by this time we knew the guide, and the guide asked us, well, what do you think of catch and release fishing? We said, well, that's okay. If we catch fish, we've already had our fill, so let's just let them go. So we took a long boat ride over somewhere, and he said, well, let's see what we catch. So I pulled out of my fishing box at the guide's suggestion this really cheap 99-cent lure I bought at Cabela's.
It was not at his suggestion.
At the guide's suggestion. No. Anyway, I had this cheap 99-cent lure. And I just, see that large fish that Hugh has there in that picture? Mine were even larger. One after another, and each one I caught, Hugh just smiled and smiled and smiled more. And finally he said, offer Bob your pole. Anyway, another story was we lived in Colorado. Audrey and I lived in Colorado, and that's where our children were born, and loved being in the mountains. We loved skiing and hiking and backpacking, and some of us loved camping as well. And my dream was to have Hugh go up into the mountains, not just drive through, but to really experience the mountains. And so I knew it had to be kind of a luxurious way we did that. And finally, I met somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who had a llama trek operation. And it was a luxurious trip. So we met, we drove up the pass, got off. We started hiking in with the llamas. The llamas carried all of our stuff. So all we had to have for several days was just a little backpack of water and a raincoat and a jacket or something, maybe a snack along the way. But when we got to the campsite, they would set it all up. They would cook dinner. They'd wash dishes. They'd serve wine at dinner. They had cots. It was the most luxurious camping trip I'd ever been on. And Hugh loved it, but one point in particular I'd like to tell you about. As we were hiking in, we ran into one of these little passing thunderstorms that was coming along, and it began to thunder. And I was right in line with Hugh, and he stopped, he panicked a little bit, and he told me, "I haven't been this scared since I was in Korea." And I didn't really understand what he was talking about because the storm was about a mile away, wasn't really anything to worry about. But he was panicked. He just stopped. And I really didn't understand until yesterday why that bothered him so much. And come to find out, when he was first in Korea, it was all the shelling in Korea that got to him. And then here we are in this beautiful mountain pass and the lightning. And he told me, "I haven't been this scared since I've been in Korea." But then we got to the camp, we set up the camp. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. And he got to experience the mountains the way they ought to be. And there were many, many other experiences that we've all had, and getting to know the family from a distance. Our life is especially separated by experience. And what Marcia so eloquently said about family and togetherness is so true. And Ryan the other day, my son-in-law, said, "The family certainly does like to flock together." And that is true. So thank you for allowing me to share a few of these experiences. Next.
Got to kiss the speaker. It's always good. I am Audrey. I'm the middle sister. I'd also like to thank everyone here for coming today to be with us to celebrate my dad's legacy and life. Living away from my parents all these years, it's been many, 38 years. I knew one day I would get the call. Even so, I was unprepared for that raw heartache I felt. I had spoken with Dad on Monday. He was very talkative and even made me laugh and smile. I'm so glad he answered the phone on Monday. He normally didn't. So that I had a chance to hear his voice say, "Hello, Audrey. How are you doing?" One last time. He always said hello in a really wonderful way. It was, "Hello." Keep that here. Dad had many names and titles. He was Hugh, Hubert, Hubie, Dad, Daddy, Papa, Gigi Pa, son, brother, cousin, friend, lover, husband, uncle, veteran, businessman, politician, boatman, fisherman, and golfer. Golfer. All of these names and titles describe who my dad was to each of us here today. My memories of Dad are varied and immense. After all, I've had 62 years of memories of him. My earliest memories are very similar to Marcia's. I remember with fondness the camping trips, the times we worked in the shoe store together, the many concerts and dance recitals he would attend, and all of the major school events. Some of my memories are funny now, but at the time, not so. For instance, when my dad would call my mother and ask her to come get her child from the store, he must have fired me 50 times. I did love shoes, but I had a very difficult foot to fit. So one day, my dear sweet dad gave me the catalogs and he said, "Here, pick out the shoes you want." And he ordered me whatever I desired. He really was the best dad ever. Dad and I shared the love of cars. In fact, on my parents' 25th anniversary, we added up the cars he had bought, and it was 26 in 25 years. We always knew when Dad had bought a new car, as he would drive into the driveway and honk the horn. We'd all go running outside to see what he had brought home, and of course, we would pile in and go for a test drive. We shared the love of the smell of a new car. Every time I bought a new car, Dad would say, "Don't you just love how it smells?" I could go on and on. My dad was fiercely loyal. He loved deeply. He cherished his family, and we all felt it from him. His family was his greatest joy and achievement. When we were with him, we were home. I will miss him so much.
All right. You'd want me to fix my pants. Hold on a second. Oh. Okay. I found myself happier than not this week, actually. I kept trying to force the sadness out like I should have been in a lot more pain for such a terrible loss. But that has a connotation that I don't think quite applies to how I'm feeling. I'm so happy and grateful for the memories I have with him and the pieces of me I can attribute to his guidance and teaching and example. You too. I don't have to dig very deep to find fond memories of my grandfather. None of us seem to. We spent the week telling some stories for the millionth time and somehow happening to remember brand new ones for the first time, all leaving us happy and smiling. He'd get a kick out of seeing us all huddled together in a room. He always did. I was so very lucky to grow up 2 houses down from him as a child. Of course, I didn't understand how special this was until I had my own children and had an innate need to have my parents nearby. That's what he constantly did throughout my life. Taught me things without me knowing that he was. How to love and treat your partner, stand by your friends and cherish your family. How to be flexible and roll with changes and compromise without a hint of ego. No, he was a stubborn man. And I thank him for that gift as well. Kim learned a long time ago that when I come back from a Gigi visit, the first question she asks with a sly grin on her face is, "So, how did it go?" She would ask because certainly he and I had argued. I can barely contain the excitement as I retold the stories of the greatest hits from our debates. Ooh, we had some good ones. Or bad ones, but those were the good ones. Yeah, and it never mattered afterwards. No matter what was said or how loud, we were friends at the end. Because Grandma was there. I think we both reveled in that part, actually. A chance to yell without consequence at what on paper was at least an ideological opposite. Yelling at the TV is one thing, but you can do it face to face. That's when the magic happens. No matter what, though, they ended with a laugh and a hug and "I love you." Every time. I'll always remember that part. It would have taken an impossible blow to even dent the love he had for any friend or family. But such a worrier. My goodness. Every little detail, any opportunity to interject. I didn't always love it. You're not wearing socks? Where's your jacket? Where's your jacket? But as I got older, I realized it was because he was clocking me the first step in the door. Ocular pat down. He's making sure I was okay, safe, and I watched him do it with everyone. Not a criticism, a question. Aren't you going to be cold? It's freezing. No, Papa. I'm 16, 23, 29, 35. It's 50 degrees. I don't need a jacket. But as I got older, I realized, I already read that part. But it was because he was watching. He was watching. Watching to make sure we were safe, that we were doing what we should, or what he thought we should. But he had his eye on us always. What I thought of as just kind of quirky neuroses took on a different light seeing him with my daughters and their fellow great-grandchildren. He just looked at them. And he let out a little just amazing or a little miracle under his breath. He loved them so much. He loved all of us so much. Actually, never shut up about it. If you listen close enough, he was constantly talking about the miracles and the angels that they all are. And how proudly he shared every update. Sometimes under his breath, sometimes right in your face while you were talking about something completely different. He couldn't help it. He literally could not help it. We figured it was his hearing or his age, but maybe not. What better thing to occupy one's mind most of the time than how your family is doing, and if he can make it better? To me, that was Hugh Sommerfeld. He helped raise 3 wonderful women, or Judy did, and he was there. And they had 6 grandchildren, and so far 7 incredible great-grandchildren that got to know him and feel his love. I'm so thankful for that. He never stopped making sure we were okay. He lived 91 years, and he passed away next to his wife and his best friend. It's pretty good. Okay.
So maybe it wasn't such a good idea to follow him. I thought that was a good idea. So for anybody that knew him, I do want to start by saying, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, just because I have to get that in there. He actually loved to speak in public. He liked to hold a microphone, which I inherited from him. So I always giggled when he would say that. The only way to describe this week would be to call it a whirlwind of emotion, which has included tears, sadness, some laughter at our cherished family experiences, and so much love. Love for him, love for each other, and love coming to us in phone calls, emails, flower deliveries, texts, social media posts from every direction. Looking at all of you and knowing you're here to pay tribute to my dad and to surround us all with love is quite powerful. Thank you for helping us move through this with grace. For so long, I've wondered what it would be like to be in the world without my dad. I attended a funeral a few years ago of Phil Cole's dad, and I was quite impacted by the way he spoke about his father, and I hoped that I would be able to do justice when I spoke about mine. So I've been thinking about Phil all week. I did realize in the last 6 days that I will never lose him. He will always be with us, and we will always be able to share our memories and our favorite stories of growing up with him. Marcia and Audrey, you spoke so beautifully of Dad. I love hearing your stories and remembering them and picturing us in our house with our parents. We are so lucky to have been his daughters. He constantly surrounded us in love, and we are strong and determined women because of him. I love you both with all my heart, and I'm so glad we have each other. Bob, we met when we were so young.
We did not think we were young. And you and Dad became buddies after a little bit of a rough start because he knew how young we really were. You laughed together, argued a bit, shared meals, and agreed and disagreed about whether or not a restaurant was decent or not. Traveled together, worked on projects, went to Bears games, which he never took me to. I'll just get that on the record. Gave each other great hugs, Audrey either, and loved each other so much.
Nor me.
Oh, yeah. He taught you a lot of things about life, and it made my life wonderful knowing how much you loved each other. Jim and Tom, I'm so thankful that we are family, and we can look back over the nearly 40 years we've been family and smile. Our original 5 was a tight-knit group who loved each other fiercely, and when you married my sisters, you married all of us. Thank you for being the brothers I never had, and for loving Dad the way you did. Aaron, Ethan, Laura, Scott, Sarah, Rebecca. The 6 of you made him a papa, and he loved you in the most fabulous way. It was a deep love that gave him so much joy. His pride in you was endless, and I know you'll be able to hold him in your hearts and feel his presence in your life, especially if you're wearing socks. Kim, Clifton, Melissa, Ryan, and Ryan. What a gift you are to our family. You have made our children so happy, and our family was made better when you all married in. Papa loved each and every one of you and felt fortunate to watch you build your lives together with his grandkids. Autumn, Cooper, Sam, Andrew, Lailah, Collin, and Sadie. Gigi Pa loved being a daddy, and he loved being a papa, but Gigi Pa was his favorite title of all. He loved being with you, watching you grow and play and learn. You made him very happy, and we will tell stories of him as you grow up, so you'll always remember your Gigi Pa and how much he loved you. Mom, you are incredible, and your love story is remarkable. It's something we've all admired throughout our lives, and we aspired to live that way. The 2 of you kept us surrounded with love, laughter, and caring, and we always knew you believed in us. Thank you for making our family so special. From the very beginning, when you fell head over heels in love with Hubie, at the age of 15, through every possible life situation in between, the 2 of you were a team. Dad loved you with his whole soul, and I know you always felt it. We are here for you, and we will encircle you with the love you've always shared with us. So many stories and memories have been swirling around in my head, and I appreciate getting the chance to share a few of them today. 91 years of a life well loved and lived, and a powerful force in the lives of all of us. The world knew him as a man who ran a successful business, who helped the town of Wheeling through volunteering his time and dedication through community groups and in local politics. He had endless energy for his small suburban town in the early years, and he helped it thrive. He had a strong public presence in this area, and people still talk about getting shoes at Cott's Shoe Store. And one of our favorite stories is that we were in Bob's parents' basement helping clean up after a flood. There was water in the basement, and we found checks on the ground, and there was a canceled check from Cott's Shoe Store from 1963. So I was only 2 at the time, and his family was getting shoes for him in that shoe store. I love that. Many of my friends in high school worked for Dad, and that was so cool. When he retired, he had customers who were 3rd generation, which is amazing. But those are the public parts of his life. I was lucky to know the private side of him. I knew his mischievous sense of humor, or what he thought was funny, his total love of Star Trek, and we only had one TV when we were kids, and we all had to watch it with him. So by proxy, we loved Star Trek as well. His adoration of the Chicago Bears, even through the many seasons when they didn't play very well, and he would get on the phone with his brother through every game and discuss what the team should be doing. His stubborn belief that he was right about most things. His insanely accurate ability to pick out a great restaurant anywhere in the world, and his rule that he never ate in a restaurant that had the words "good food" anywhere in their signs. I never understood why, but he stuck by it on all of our family vacations. The twinkle in his eye when he watched me sing, which included buying 65 tickets to one of the performances of Hello, Dolly when I was a senior in high school, and giving them away to family and friends so they could come see the show. And he wanted to watch all of them watch me. The way he peeled and cut an orange in thin slices and arranged them around the plate in a perfect circle with a little sprinkle of sugar on top. The fact that he always remembered that he needed just one more thing to go with his dinner as soon as our mother sat down to eat. And he'd put mayonnaise on his salad. It was really odd. Plain mayonnaise. His embarrassment when my sisters and I would talk about girl things like dating and what it would be like to kiss a boy. And it became our goal to get him to leave the dinner table because he'd had enough of our conversation. His insatiable need to tell me that I needed to wash my car or take better care of my car or get the oil changed in my car when I was in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and beyond. The way he would say, hello, and then almost immediately give the phone to Mom when I called home on Sundays from college in the days before cell phones, when it was cheaper to call on Sundays. The fact that he loved getting dressed up, and he always looked so great when he went to work at the shoe store. And oh, the shoes he wore. He had Florsheims in every color, 3-piece suits with beautiful dress shirts, ties, and cufflinks, and the most fabulous white patent leather dress shoes in the 70s. He was very stylish, and I admired him very much. His uncanny way of knowing when I landed at O'Hare or Midway. I traveled so much for work, but there was rarely a time when my cell phone didn't ring right as I got in my car. It was my dad, and he just knew I was home. I will miss those calls. His total support and unconditional love for both of our sons. He became a papa when Aaron was born, and it was incredible to watch them together. And he loved us through the experience of being Ethan's parents when we needed him the most. The way that he adored all of our grandkids and would look at their pictures on his phone endlessly during the last 2 very isolated years. The way he loved a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on white bread as an evening snack. And his dedication to eating yellow cake with chocolate frosting. His knowledge of cooking, which was vast, and it inspired him to offer input when any of us cooked. His joy, when we were all in a room together, he would look around and then say to Mom, look what we've created. Dad, you did it. You built a family on love, and you created a sometimes loud, often wacky, totally devoted, slightly crazy, immensely loving family, which is a direct reflection of you. Thank you for showing all of us the way. On Wednesday morning, I was in my room, and I looked out the window to find a huge red robin looking me right in the eye. It was him. I know it was. Dad, keep sending signs that you're watching over us. And now it's hard to find a way to close this tribute. This poem speaks to the way we know our dad would want us to live our lives. Hopefully it will resonate with all of us as we continue on our journey. We can shed tears that he is gone, or we can smile because he lived. We can close our eyes and pray that he'll come back, or we can open our eyes and see all that he's left. Our hearts can be empty because we can't see him, or we can be full of the love that he shared. We can remember only that he is gone, or we can cherish his memory and let it live on. We can cry and close our minds, be empty and turn our backs. Or we can do what he'd want, smile, open our eyes, love, and go on. So with love to all of you and our deep appreciation for your support, we hope you will do just that.
Thank you for those beautiful, beautiful words. We're going to conclude the service with 2 prayers. The first is the Kalmale. If you're able to rise, please rise. We'll first do it in the Hebrew, followed by the English. Again, this one is in the pamphlet as well, on the lower portion. El merachamim shoichen bamrohim המצא מנוחה נחו ונותחס כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים מטוהרים כזוהר הרקיע מסעידים את נשמת Hubert Sommerfeld שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו אנה בלרחם יסתירא בסזק נהפך לעולמי יצרור בצור החיים את נשמתו Adonai Yunachal also b'nuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar Amen. Together in English, El Malei Rachamim, O God, full of compassion, Thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of Thy presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Hubert I. Sommerfeld, who has gone into eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may his repose be peace. And let us all say, Amen. If you could continue standing for just one moment, we're going to turn to the back page for the Kaddish, ancient words many are familiar with. I'll recite it on behalf of the family. For those who know the words, certainly are welcome to do as well. Yitkadav yitkada shemei rabbah. Bi'amad yivrach kirutei v'amlich machutei b'chayechon uv'meichon uv'chayelechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'le'omei omayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithala v'yithalal shemei dikidusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata b'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiram b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. You may be seated for just a moment. Friends, this does conclude our memorial service here at the chapel. Donations in Mr. Sommerfeld's memory can be made to the individual advocacy group 1289 Wyndham Parkway in Romeoville. That information is on the inside portion of the service folder you received on the way in. If you did not receive one, they're available on the way out. And for those of us who are watching the service online, once again, I want to thank you on behalf of the family. That information is available on the website as well. The family has invited everyone for light refreshments following the service to 923, that's 923 Shady Tree Lane in Wheeling. At this moment, everyone please rise as we escort the family from the chapel. This does conclude our service. Thank you.